The Demon Queen, the first of the 4 heavenly lords, Arachne, asks if the hero from another world is the young man standing in front of her. She says that even the Demon King won't be able to defeat her, he would become her puppet. The hero responds that even if you don't defeat this average boss, it's not really a problem for any speedrunner. He'll just make a skip with the bug. A few hours ago, Tokyo. The presenter says that the climax has come. Battle with the last boss. The last glitch. It is announced that the player has completed the game. The current record is 25 minutes and 26 seconds. This is a new world record by a wide margin. The Emperor of the Mouth World, the slave of a great corporation. Another verse is the world's first mouth speedrunner alias, Corporate Servant. Mouth or Real-Time Attack is a walkthrough of the game from the beginning, competing to see who can complete the game faster by any means. Of course, using the most complex mechanics, such as running on railings that you can't even walk on, walking through walls, continuing the game against the background of the menu, and so on. A glitch is the use of a bug that helps to cut time. The average passage time takes about 100 hours. This is a very intense action RPG. It's hard to believe that the day has come when it passed in 25 minutes. The hero managed to do it. The presenter noticed that he had completed even the most difficult glitches. You wouldn't expect anything less from a corporate servant. The hero asks him not to exaggerate. Always on streams with training runs. Even considering how terrible he was explaining glitchy, everyone watched and supported him. And even his rivals and critics, sharing their opinions, helped. The presenter asked if the hero plans to please himself in any way when he returns home. He replied that, on the orders of the boss, he would still go to work today. This is a worthy conclusion to their business summit. The host thanked the participant and said that they would meet in 6 months. One of the commentators said that the player did not make the last glitch. The guy is sitting in front of his computer screens. No matter how many thousands of times he tries, he cannot repeat the last glitch with a success rate of more than 30%. It takes about 30 seconds. He is sure that there must be a way to cut more. It is possible to go through the wall at the beginning of the game. There were many cans of energy drink on the table. The young man began to feel sleepy. He was very sleepy. Suddenly, he found himself in 0 gravity. He didn't understand what was going on. Someone says that the stars in outer space are Nirvana, the goddess of the earth from the depths of the galaxy. Once every 100 years, when the stars converge, they hear the call of their goddess. They ask to bless the lost soul and let him get to her. The next moment, the hero finds himself in the body of another person who stands in the middle of a huge hall. People around you are talking about what they have achieved. It's a miracle. The great summoning has worked for the first time in 100 years. The young man wonders what kind of place it is. The goddess of space ordered to inform the residents of the royal capital about the successful summoning. Their hero doesn't look as brave as he should. They won't be able to challenge the demon for another 5 years. Even when the fate of the world hangs in the balance. The girl turns to the guy. She is the queen of this country, Holy Savior Ida. She asks a once-in-a-100-year-old hero from outer space, a hero from another world, to share his powers with them. She talks about how there is a source of evil from which monsters are born. He is protected by the evil King Apocalypse and his 4 demonic minions. If they seal it, the source of evil. Enslaving the human world will only be a matter of time. Ada got down on one knee and said that he was their last hope. With his power, they must defeat the demon. The hero does not understand what is happening. He thinks that this is the first cutscene in the game, Another Verse. This scene is more familiar to him than his mother. While Ada was handing him the sacred sword that cleanses evil, which has been passed down from generation to generation, the hero was thinking that he had overplayed AV so much that he was dreaming of playing AV. Although the game usually has a third-person view, why is he seeing in the first person now? Is this really going to happen if you select first-person view in the settings? The hero is a man who hates camera twitching and always plays from a third-person perspective. Nevertheless, he moves his legs and arms as if in reality. This is a dream, like being completely immersed in a game. He thinks that if he can play comfortably, he can only speed away. Ida held the sword and asked the hero to take it. However, he took off and ran somewhere. The girl tried to stop him. He ordered the guards to stop him. However, they did not have time to do anything because the main character went through the wall. The girl was in shock. The young man decided to comment on his actions, even when he was not broadcasting live. First, you need to forget about the sacred sword and escape from the castle through the wall. Bosses can be defeated without the holy sword. This way, you won't need to go through an event where you learn how to use a sacred sword. The princess went behind her colleague and made some hand gestures. And the next moment, she took on a different appearance. A girl named Denya ran after a guy and asked him to wait. Denya is the temporary representative of Princess Aida in this world. The hero runs through the royal capital of Falshut. The owner of the capital's adventurer guild, Jen, turns to the hero and offers to show him the way to the capital's guild. However, the young man jumped over him and said that he was not interested. Jen was left standing with his mouth open in surprise. It was one of the most difficult skips in the early stages of the game Gen Senpai skip. If you come across him, he begins a learning dialogue, in which he leads the hero, introducing him to the city. But if you calculate the bounce off the wall well, you can skip the training completely. The timing is very strict. Many speedrunners get stuck here. Popular among players is Jen Payson, who has an older brother Skin. If a person gets caught by Jen, he will lose 4 minutes. In the Russian speedrun, this is especially unbearable. Denya was running through the city and saw Jen, who was in prostration. She turned to him and asked if he had seen a guy running along the way from the castle. The man replied that he was heading towards the north gate. She thought that without the holy sword, he was unarmed. A hero who has been called up with such difficulty once in 100 years cannot die so easily. Jen turned to Denya and asked if everything was really that bad with them. For the first time, he was ignored like this, as if he was inviting some kind of sect. The girl responded positively and said that she was in a hurry. The hero arrived at the first dungeon, Forest of the Dead. Zombies are rising. Denya caught up with the guy. He began to take off his clothes. The girl blushed and was embarrassed, because the hero does not hesitate to take off his clothes. The hero picked up a stick and jumped into the crowd of zombies. The girl doesn't understand what this guy is thinking. With one stick in a crowd of zombies and, moreover, naked. Suddenly the zombies started biting the guy. Denya thinks that he is not being beaten. He just decided to take his own life. She didn't want to look at it. However, the next moment, the young man started hitting the zombies with a stick. They fell without signs of life. The hero said that so much damage is enough, but from now on he cannot take damage. He ran on and noticed Denya, who asked him to wait. She is the legal representative of Princess Aida. He had forgotten the sacred sword, and he will die with such wounds. The girl offered to cure the guy with magic, but he ran ahead and said that he would make it. This speedrun is based on a light difficulty. It is fashionable to choose an easy one at the beginning of the game. The lower the power level in the Forest of the Dead, the weaker all the enemies, including the bosses. In this speedrun, he must not take damage until the last moment. The shirt and pants also have protection, so you need to take them off. Denya tried to catch up with the guy and cure him. The guy introduced her. She is not a game character and a symbol of this game and is always there and helps the main character. But to the speedrunner, she's the enemy. He would run away from her from this forest at full speed. Denya runs after the guy. She called him names and said that she had to cure him. When the hero reached the castle, he gave the girl the opportunity to cure him. She told him that before going there, you need to prepare accordingly, otherwise this time he will definitely die. This castle is inhabited by one of the heavenly powers of the lords. The puppet master is Arachne. She hadn't finished speaking, but the hero was already running forward. He noticed that Denya's lines had changed a bit. The next moment, an Arachne puppet appeared in front of the guy. Denya screams at the guy to run away from her as soon as possible, because he went at her naked. Noticing the guy's actions, she did not understand what he was doing. The hero dealt damage to the spider with a stick, and in the next moment, the spider was defeated. The young man explains that this glitch is called a strange stick. If you attack a small boss with it at a certain point, the stick's damage begins to multiply to 1024 and remains at this level. Since the Holy Sword has 60 damage, it's just trash. He also says that since this stick is a cheat item, there is a chance that a bug with it will be fixed in subsequent updates. Denya doesn't understand anything at all. The hero explains that a potion that enhances the attack fell out of the small boss. He was lucky to get this potion. He doesn't have a low chance of falling out. Next, they have the middle boss in this castle, Arachne. The monster asks if he's really a hero from another world. The demon queen, the first of the 4 heavenly lords, Arachne, is wondering if it will be possible to make a better doll out of a person from another world. She says that even the Demon King won't be able to defeat her. She assumed her true form and threatened the hero that he would become her puppet. The hero said that he would skip the battle with this boss by going through the wall. Denya and Arhana were left alone. The Demon Queen asked about where this guy had gone. Her butler replied that he had walked through a wall. Arhana screamed that she had realized it herself. She ordered me to find this guy. This hero from another world will be hers. Denya approached the wall through which the young man had passed. She also managed to walk through the wall. The hero runs and says that with the strongest stick in his hands, he can only ignore the other 3 heavenly lords and go straight to the final boss. There is a texture bug behind this wall. You can get to the deepest part of the dungeon by jumping off this cliff. The game is good, and such moments make it even cooler. In theory, the trigger for falling from a height should be triggered at the bottom, but at one point you can slip through. Denya caught up with the guy and asked where he was going. So far, she's seen him do all sorts of weird things. He must defeat the Demon King. He's a hero from another world. She cries and asks him to save the world, as befits a hero. The guy says that fighting the average boss is not necessary to complete the game. According to the rules of any percent, only the loss of time is taken into account. He looked at Denya and said that he would defeat the Demon King faster than anyone in the world. He finally arrived at the right place. He jumped off a cliff and said that from here, he would get to the battle with the main boss. The girl looked at where the guy had fallen, closed her eyes, and, the next moment, also jumped off the cliff. The hero decided to use a boost potion during the fall. It is important for him to give his fingers time to rest. He did a skip with Gen Senpai, also with a strange stick. And even with a first-person view, everything works out. Even in front of a non-player character, he tries to be cool. He ponders the girl's words and thinks that these words did not exist before. Perhaps he will be able to break his record. Although he's in a dream, it's pointless to set a record that no one has set. He had VR somewhere, and tomorrow he decided to take a day off from work. And as soon as he wakes up, he starts speedrunning. He'll be the fastest. Faster than yourself in the past. The hero got to the Demon King, Apocalypse. He said that this time he would pass it without mistakes. The demon turned his attention to the hero from another world. It was an unfamiliar human form. He will honor him with purification. The hero inflicted damage on the monster and said that they would skip the dialogue. There are no special tricks in the first stage of the battle with the last boss. Just avoid the tentacles and hit the strange stick 3 times. But the last boss is still strong. The speedrunner has a very strong attack, but no health at all. And he'll die from a single poke. If he doesn't hurt the hero, then everything is fine. Denya watches the battle and thinks that he is too strong. The guy who left the castle less than 30 minutes ago surpasses the strength of the Demon King. Besides, he's from another world. A real hero. The Demon King was defeated. The girl shouted that the guy was able to win. However, the young man rebuked her and said that the second phase was beginning, although the first one has a higher difficulty. In the second phase, he either hits with a tentacle 4 times or shoots a ray. When the boss falls, you can damage him by hitting the core on his head. With ordinary origins, this strategy is used, but this is a speed run, and there is a very difficult glitch for it. The leg of a corporate servant, the glitch he found himself. He couldn't get it done at the summit. The demon has almost finished taking the second phase. The Demon King attacks randomly. This glitch depends solely on luck. So he asked Denya to pray for him. It's a phrase that fans are asked to use to support random events. Apocalypse called the hero a pathetic man, and the next moment he struck at the guy, but he managed to dodge. The young man thinks that this is an unexpected vertical attack. If there is a horizontal attack after it, then he will immediately need to turn his skip. He remembered the cutscene attack. Suddenly, the attack pattern abruptly changed to a horizontal one. Is it really because Denya prayed? The attack pattern has stabilized. When the young man wakes up, he will write about it in the AV community. Not wanting to waste time, the young man started running. Denya opened her eyes and saw that the young man was running along the wall. The vine is inclined to the surface of the polygon so that you can run on it. Now the show begins. A small part of the feeding debris can be stepped on by a pixel-wide part. You need to keep the angle and timing perfectly. It's boring for the hero to hit the core on his head. He prepared himself and rushed towards the Demon King. He used the foot of a Quet servant and stepped on the core and then swung at the monster. And in the next moment, he struck at the monster's head. The demon began to disappear and screamed that he would never forgive them. Denia watches in shock. She turned to the hero from another world and said that he had done a great job. The girl began to glow. The young man thinks that this is the beginning of the last cutscene. Denia's real identity is Princess Ida. Aida, who has returned to her real form, will seal the source guarded by the Demon King. And he will bring eternal peace to this world. In general, he passed the AV in the any % category. He feels satisfied. After completing his trick, he set a new record in 24 minutes. This race can be considered the fastest at the moment. If anything, it's only that he could have cut off more time in a place with a pickup stick. In addition, he found a trick with the prayer of Denia, which may reduce the time. The hero does not understand why the last cutscene does not begin. Denia says that she doesn't turn back into Ida. The young man is at a loss. The girl does not understand what happened to Aida's holy power. The guy thinks that since Denia cannot return to Aida's body, the last cutscene doesn't start. She fell to her knees and does not understand what is happening, because the Demon King has been defeated. The guy understands that after defeating the last boss, the game does not end, and what's more, he can't get out of the AV world, the kingdom of Falshura. Denia came to the studio, the salesman greeted her. He was about to suggest that she try on a skirt, but she said that she would not be shopping. Suddenly, a hero from another world, Shokuba, went through the topic and greeted the seller. He got scared and screamed. Sitting in a tavern, the girl asks the hero not to behave so suspiciously in the royal capital. The hero was wearing an adventurer's shirt, pants, and boots, which provide protection of plus 5%. The young man said that he really wanted to become normal. The girl snapped her fingers and told Shokuba that no one would overhear their conversation here. He thinks that after the unexpected absence of an ending in the game, he was having a hard time trying to convey to her what had happened. He hadn't done it on purpose before. Due to a bug, he couldn't get through the studio doors. If you continue to play the game after using some bugs, it becomes impossible to enter part of the buildings through the doors. This was mentioned at the AV gaming conference. But since he can walk through walls, there's no problem. The girl replied that there was still a problem. She doesn't understand what kind of strange skill it is, the so-called bug technique. Shokuba explained to Denia that there is a game called Anotherverse, and that he knows it very well. He wasn't sure if she would understand. The girl says that to believe him, you have to be completely crazy. But she can't deny what she saw with her own eyes. The bug technique is just a technique similar to magic. She can't say for sure if it's magical spirits or divine protection, so it's definitely not magic. This technique is not related to the logic of the world, except as an otherworldly dimension it cannot be called. In any case, she can't return to Aida's form because someone used Bug's technique to defeat the Demon King. The young man said that he was 100% sure that he was dreaming. He had actually heard that if you defeat the Demon King with a bug, the final scene would be disrupted. But up to this point, no matter how many thousands of times he eliminated this game, he hadn't heard about the bug that prevents her from turning back into a princess. The bug he always used shouldn't have led to such consequences. The mistake of not being able to pass through the door is expected, but the failure of not turning into a princess is beyond expectations. Therefore, it probably wasn't his fault. The girl suggested that the solution to this problem would also be beyond the scope. The hero has only one guess. He's talking about the true ending. Although the game ends after defeating the Demon King, this is what is called a normal ending. And this ending is not working properly because of a bug. Defeat all 4 heavenly lords and fulfill a few more conditions, thus reaching the true ending. It's hard to understand, but the true ending is programmed so that it creates a second set of data after executing the code. During the ending, all variables return to their original values, and a new set of data is created. The effect that the bug will cause is a game of charades. Denia listens to him and does not understand anything. Shokuba says that having received the true ending, the mistakes should disappear, and then she will turn back into Princess Ida. The young man asked if he would return to his world when she turned back into Aida. She replied that when she transformed, she would use the time distortion technique that was used to summon. As long as there was a connection between their worlds, he should be able to return back to his own world. The guy's hands were shaking and the girl noticed it. She said that it was initially wrong to involve him in solving their problems. Being called into a world like this is not for her to apologize, but neither is it for her to take the blame for what happened. Denya wanted to apologize to him, but he stopped her. Shokuba said that he adores the world of another verse, but there is a lot of work waiting for him. In his world, he wants to compete with his friends in the RTA speedrun. And he needs to get back as soon as possible. He has not yet figured out whether this is reality or a dream, so he is even glad to be in this world. But there is one thing. He needs to calm down after the failed speedrun. After the first 10 attempts, the game remained stuck. That's why he feels so uncomfortable standing still in the world of the game. Even now, he feels a sense of urgency, as if the timer is running on its own. Denya offered to join the Adventurers Guild. Since he finds himself in such an unusual situation, he must understand what is going on around him before acting. The Royal Guild has gathered information from all over the continent. If anything unusual happens, they will let them know. The hero saw in the distance a black magic that reaches out to him. Denya said that so far, no one should know about his achievements. This is the root of the evil that the Demon King guarded. All demonic creatures originate from him. They are the embodiment of evil and hostile to humans. Even after defeating the Demon King, the source cannot be sealed without Aida. Although the Demon King has died, the threat of demonic creatures has not disappeared. As long as they have no guarantees of real peace, they cannot let their guard down and let things calm down. In a quiet voice, the hero said that this was to be expected from the Holy Savior. Noticing the item store, the young man decided to enter it. The people inside were scared when he went through the wall. Walking down the street, the hero thought about the fact that the landscape of the game is in ultra-high resolution. After all, he's really in the game and he likes it. But isn't Denya-chan too smart? Even if you try to ignore it, it's too late. Despite the fact that he talked a lot about gaming terms all the time, it's scary that she understands everything better than he could have imagined. The flexibility of conversation is too much for a non-player character. Even when using artificial intelligence, it goes beyond the scope of such a game. He said that he wanted to achieve a true ending, but in this world everything has to work like in a game. But is this really the world inside the game? Suddenly, the heroes heard some noise. Denya recognized the guard's horn. The guard announced that a wyvern was approaching. She broke through the barrier and attacked. He told everyone to take shelter in sturdy buildings as soon as possible. Point 196. The wyvern towered over the city. Denya asked about how she dares to touch the capital. Suddenly, the demon exploded. Denya was discouraged. She looked at the hero who was standing with a slingshot in his hand. He had an ordinary slingshot and an explosive balloon. He smiled and said that the slingshot he had bought earlier was very useful. The girl asked about what had just happened. Shokuba said that it was an easy victory because it was a must-have event on their second visit to the capital. Before going through the games quickly, he also went through it the usual way. I took out all the equipment, collected all the items, and cleared all the dungeons. Therefore, he is aware of all the main and side plot twists. When he enters this space, a battle event is created in which the wyvern appears in certain places. A split second before she starts attacking, she can be quickly overpowered by attacking with a shooting weapon. He was using the rapid-fire shot technique now. After firing the slingshot, he immediately switched to a stick. When the action is quickly cancelled and repeated, it becomes possible to shoot quickly even with a slingshot. Denya asked him to stop using the bug technique so boldly in front of people. The hero said that he thought it was better to defeat her right away until she caused damage. People watched the characters talking. They were wondering what kind of movements they were making now. They don't believe that a person can move like that. They're wondering where this young man came from. They tell the guild people to hire him as soon as possible. The seller of the atelier recognized the guy who had previously walked through the wall. The man said that he greeted him naked and paid him for his clothes. However, it did not become clearer to people. An old man pointed a mop at the hero and suggested that he was a spy of the demonic race. Denya came to the guy's defense. She said that they were all wrong and they needed to calm down. BUT people didn't understand how to calm down here. They assumed that the wyvern was also created by the hero. People don't move with clicks like that. The girl understands that they have suspicions. The bug technique should no longer be used. Suddenly, someone asked everyone to stop. Some old lady said that this guy is a hero from another world. The people in the castle say that Ida has summoned a hero for the first time in 100 years. She asked the guy that he was the hero. Shochiku confirmed it, and the residents began to dissuade the old woman. He talked about how he was cheating and belonged to the demonic race. He's definitely a demon. However, the old lady firmly stated that he was not a demon. She can identify a demon only by seeing it up close. Demons ruled over his native village. They took her sister's life in front of her eyes, and they burned her face when she was still young. At that time, she was in shock from the torture, and she had the power to distinguish humans from demons. The hero doesn't reek of the cruelty inherent in demons. Grandma took the hero by the hand and said that he had been waiting for him for so long. She doesn't want to be scared anymore. She asks to rid the world of demons. Denya is watching what is happening. People started to disperse and told him not to click anymore. The hero thinks that the part after the wyvern's death should have been a little different, but the grandmother's request fully corresponded to the scenario. Denya said that the old lady's village has been ruled by the heavenly ruler Arachne for 50 years. She had heard that there had been a horrific massacre there, and that the territory was still in Arachne's hands. They can only guess at the real damage. Shochiku thinks that the old lady's remark was definitely in the game, but here it resonates with him much more strongly than behind the computer screen. She didn't even find the words to answer her. He's been through this moment in the game so many times. Denya says that there are a lot of people on this continent who find themselves in a similar situation. Until they seal the source, their numbers will only grow. He immediately defeated the Demon King, but she hadn't completed her part of the mission yet. When the time comes, there's nothing she can do. Who is she trying to deceive by saying that she is a sacred savior? The hero said that she had just saved him. He knows what he's saying about the game, but it always follows the hero. Even in a dark, scary dungeon, which is very scary to visit for the first time. When the player remembers that Denya-chan is with him, it immediately becomes much less scary. Even in such a situation, he could leave more or less calm, because he knew she was with him. He told her that she was a fan of hers, and he really liked her. He said that her character is by far the most popular in fan polls. Princess Ida is in 8th place, so she's no less important than the princess. Today he tried it and found that the same bug technique as in the game works so well, so the same program works in this world as in the game. Denya assumed that he was using them for a reason. He promised that they would definitely return her to her princess form. They will discover the true ending and save the world. The Adventurers Guild, the Shield of Aida. The damage caused by the level 4 demonic wyvern was 0 casualties and 0 damaged buildings. Jen refused to believe it. He thought that his subordinate had missed the inspection, but he claims that it is true. Apparently, the self-styled hero from another world figured it out in an instant. Someone asked them about the noise. It was the guildmaster. Jen, a member of the capital's Shield of Aida Adventurer Guild, asked how the hero dared to ignore him yesterday. He hopes that the newcomer is ready. Noticing his displeased expression, he asked why he was so sour. Shochiku bowed and said he was sorry. It's not Gen-senpai's fault, it was just a motor reflex. Just looking at Gen-senpai brings back memories of all the mistakes of the past. Gen didn't understand what he was talking about. The very sight of him brings back memories that he regrets. He assumed that the person he loved had been torn apart by monsters right in front of his eyes, and his face reminded him of someone like his brother. What if he blames himself? In his weakness, which had prevented him from saving his brother a long time ago. Gen said he was very sorry too. He doesn't know everything he's been through, but he can call him Big Brother. The hero thanked him. Denya thought that there had been some misunderstanding, but it was none of her business. The girl said that she wanted to talk to the guild master. He replied that the master was not in his place right now, she was in the royal palace. He asked if she wasn't requesting permission for the Elite Four. And even now, a hero from another world has appeared. Isn't it time to shake these old magisters off the tail? He assumed that they were going to apply to join the guild. The hero confirmed it. Jen said it was a good thing. He welcomed them to the Aida Shield Guild. Guild Registrar Miron greeted the heroes. Aida's Shield is the Adventurer Guild of Falshura's capital. The guild branches are located in every city, but their guild is the main administrative center of the guild throughout the country. She gave them their guild badge. It gives them access to tasks that can be obtained in any city, including the capital. By completing the task, they increase their rank to gain access to even more challenging assignments. Usually you need to take an exam to join the guild, but they are recommended by Denya. Jen said that he was very lucky, as the exam was terribly difficult. The name itself suggests that they are patronized by Ida-sama. They have top-level authority. Their guild membership badge allows you to freely enter any city. Shachiku said that he understood everything, although he already knew everything in advance. Jen continues to talk about the guild. Life is peaceful here, and the rewards for assignments are relatively high. And best of all, once a year, Ida-sama personally comes here to boost their morale. Some guys join them just for the sake of Ida-sama. He wants to get closer to her, because her beauty is unique to the goddess. Denya said that the Shield of Ida is actually a punitive detachment of the capital, so the only acceptable reward is payment. Myron got angry and said that Ida-sama wouldn't even look at someone like him. They are here, by the way, we register newcomers. She asks him not to interrupt her. The hero thinks that the dialogue between the characters of the game is more realistic than the game itself. How did it happen that he was a witness to this? The non-player characters in the Anverse are set up in an unusual way. This attention to detail helps us perceive the game world as reality. Even the guild's side quests feel like an immersion in the realities of the world, rather than a monotonous job. And from the point of view of hardcore game management, you can't find a better game. It made him shudder. He wanted to speed up the plot so much, but to tell the truth, Anverse is just great. Myron asked the hero to put his palm to the crystallization tool. The young man did as she said, and all the information about the guy appeared in front of them. The girl asked the guy's name again. He replied that his name was Shachiku. Jen noticed that this was a very rare name and asked where the guy was from. Myron was inspired because it's such a refreshing, exotic name. The young man thanked them, and he was thinking that now his nickname, which he used for live broadcasts, is displayed here. The girl was surprised that the hero had never raised his level. She would tell him about the level up later. She asked him to wait for the registration to be completed. Then she asked Jen to help her. Then it dawned on Denya that Shachiku had defeated the Demon King only at the first level. The hero smiled and confirmed this and explained that this is the same speedrun mode. Since they still have a lot of time, Shachiku decided to explain to Denya how to cancel the Anvers by any %. The girl didn't understand what he was talking about. Speedrun is a high-speed solo walkthrough game. And although it may seem that this is a single race, for him it is still a team sport. They compete with each other in ranks, but on the other hand, they still exchange new discoveries and glitch tips freely. That's why AV is so popular all over the world. There are more than 500 speedrunners in the world. About 30 of them live in Japan. Denya presented 500 people who look like the hero. The rules of any % speedrun Anvers are such that you just need to defeat the final boss, and the sooner the better. However, the health and attack power of the final boss are huge. The time it takes to pick up the minimum acceptable item to defeat the Demon King is the main problem of speedrun in any % mode. Initially, the passage was 8 hours, when they were upgraded to the required level. Back then, they were still using the Holy Sword. Later, they decided to shorten the time and focus on the weapon with the highest attack rate, namely, the two-handed obsidian. And then they discovered a glitch in the textures of Arachne's castle, which throws it straight to the final boss. But when they discovered a lot of other glitches, 2 hours was the limit for them. And suddenly they found a broken weapon with an attack of 1024 units. Its name is the strongest piece of wood. The crazy glitch, which was discovered 3 years after the game's release, had a huge impact on the Anvers study group. And thanks to friendly rivalry and the strongest stick, they managed to defeat the Demon King in 25 minutes at once, at level 1. And this is despite the fact that the difficulty has skyrocketed, because it is easier for the Apocalypse to defeat them without leveling up. Denya said that she did not understand anything. Myron called out to Shichika. She thanked him for waiting, and told him that his registration with the guild had passed. Suddenly, everyone fell silent and looked at the man who had just entered. The guildmaster of the Shield of Aida, Kirari Latifica, entered the building. Morona turned to the master, and Shachiku blushed and was glad that she was finally here. The strongest female warrior in the Anvers world is Kirasan's sister. He doesn't see her on speedruns, so they haven't seen each other for a long time. He was impressed by her on the screen, but seeing her in front of him in person, he feels confused. Denya called the guy. He shuddered and said that he hadn't thought of anything like that. She replied that she hadn't said anything. She asked the guy if he was aware of their relationship. Shachiku confirmed it. Kira-san's little sister is Aida's best friend, and one of the few people who knows the real identity of Denya-chan. Myron noticed that the master was not in a good mood. Jen assumed that this visit to the castle had driven her crazy again. Kira noticed Denya and turned to her. She asked her friend who the guy next to her was. Shachiku introduced himself and said that from that day on, he was a member of the guild and a hero from another world. Jen was surprised that Shachiku was the guy. Myron understood why his level was so low. Kira called the guy a coward from another world. After performing an assessment skill and finding out the guy's level, she called him trash. She said that she had already heard his story back at the castle. Despite the fact that Ida successfully summoned the hero, this hero lost his temper and betrayed his mission and rushed off, without even taking the sacred sword with him. Shachiku understood how it looked from the outside. Denya tried to justify the guy and explain to her friend what was happening, but Kira refused to believe and told her friend not to defend him. The girl took out her sword and asked how much longer the hero was going to mock them. She threw the guy a sword and told him to fight her if he was a hero. The guild doesn't need low-level weaklings, much less cowards. Myron asked what they should do. Jen said they had to stop them. Kira calmed them down and told them that she, too, would fight with a wooden sword. She'll break his bones, but she won't live. Jen tried to stop the master somehow, but she told him to keep quiet. The master grinned and said that since he did not take a sword, he should fight with that shameful stick in his hand. Denya realized what kind of stick she was talking about and tensed up. Shachiku accepted the offer. What kind of man would he be if he saved himself from this challenge? The cat tried to stop him. She thinks that this stick has a damage of 1024. It's a strange stick that killed the Demon King. Then what happens if he uses it against a human? Denya told the guy that Kira is a very important friend for her. The hero replied that he knows everything. With a creepy smile, he said that he would deal with her quickly. The girl sank to the floor. She looked at them and, crying, mentally pronounced her friend's name. The training ground in the backyard of the Adventurers Guild. Kira and Shachiku are preparing for a duel. Morona and Jen are worried about Shichika, but Denya is worried about Kira. The master thought that he would run away with his tail between his legs. Wasn't he going to run away this time? He replied that he had no tail. Kira was outraged by his words. At least she pays tribute to his courage and will become a little more serious. She began to activate the acquired skill, the goddess's blessing, Etude Sweet Valkyrie. Myron said that her armor was turning white. Using the skill has gone too far. Denya thinks that the acquired skill is a special, unique skill given to people by the goddess. Kira's skill is a study of the Valkyrie suite. It uses a person to double their normal strength and speed. A simple, but at the same time powerful and useful skill. But even if Kira's sword skills are superhuman, this guy has already stopped being human. Denya shouted that no matter how many lives she had, it was simply impossible. She asks them to stop. Kira got angry because her friend got attached to him. She told the hero to get ready. As soon as she swung, the young man was already next to her. She noted his speed. He closed the distance instantly. She thinks that she just needs to move even faster. In the next moment, the girl punches the guy in the face. People are shocked that he lost immediately. Shachiku flew into the wall. Myron and Jen shouted his name. They approached him. He said that it was good that he had clothes on. The guild staff ran to get the potion and asked Denya to keep an eye on the guy. She thanked the guy and used recovery magic on him. She asked him about what he was doing. He replied that, fortunately, it had saved him a lot of time. It was a forced loss event. Forced loss event. This is a fight in which no matter how hard he tries in connection with the details of the plot, the game is programmed for his guaranteed loss. This is the fight that happens when he meets Kira-chan at the Adventurers Guild. Calling yourself a hero of the other world in the first version of the dialogue is the fastest option. Kira-san's sister was a little kinder in the game. Most likely there are some nuances in comparison with the original game, despite the fact that the event is the same. After some time, Shishiku said that he had fully recovered and thanked Denya. She didn't let him finish, and said that she thought he would definitely hit Kira with that strange stick. He replied that a friend who was important to Denya, he would not hurt her in front of her in any way, so he said that he knew that they were best friends. The girl started swearing at the guy and assaulting him. He told her that he had actually just been badly injured. Myron came running and saw that the hero was already healthy. Jen brought all their healing potions, but Denya told him that they no longer needed them. Kira asked about why Shachiku lost on purpose. The guild staff was surprised by this statement. He definitely saw through her attack. If not, he wouldn't have been able to jump right under her arm. Anyone capable of such a trick must either be her equal or be a warrior, even better than her. Shichiku thinks that this dialogue wasn't in the game. What should he do? He can't tell his sister Kira that it's a time saver. He told her that he had no reason to defeat Kira-san, because Kira-san is not his enemy. They are friends who will defeat the Demon King together. Kira called him an unpleasant guy. She then apologized for her rudeness earlier. The hero replied that if they can become friends, then everything is fine. The girl replied that she would then give her all to work together from now on. Kira turned to Denya and invited her and Shichiku to talk in her room, and Morona and Jin should return to their duties. She told the hero that in order to defeat the Demon King, this world decided to rely on the hero of another world. People in Ida expect a lot of good things from him, but as a person born into this world, she also has her own pride. As the daughter of a noble, she had thrown away her happiness and had faithfully honed her swordsmanship since she was 5 years old. It was all for the sake of defeating the Demon King, so she'll be the one to do it. The next moment, Kira shouts in surprise that the Demon King has already been defeated. Denya said that she had to tell her the truth about Shichiku hitting him. Kira refused to believe it. She said it wasn't a funny joke, because she even called a hero. Shichiku said that he defeated the Demon King in 25 minutes from the moment of summoning. The girl didn't understand how it was. The young man explained that he was doing speedrun in another world. This is a competition where you have to defeat the Demon King as quickly as possible. Kira doesn't understand what he's talking about. She turns to Ida and says that this guy is just too crazy no matter how you look at it. She asked her friend to leave common sense. She's already given up. Kira summarized that Aida wouldn't lie to the Demon King. That would explain a lot, namely the incident that has been going on since yesterday. Denya asked about the incident. In short, after the hero summoning ritual, a roar is heard from Arachne's castle to the north. It's nearby, so he should have reached the capital. According to the report of the Red Lion Group's A-rank team, Arachne's familiar spiders have been spotted in groups since yesterday. It looks like they're looking for something. Even among the Elite Four demons, Arachne has the most cruel and shallow personality. She's been cutting things just for fun for the last 50 years. And those who were killed, with the help of her threads and poison, became puppets. Most disgusting thing is that she forces those under her control to awaken the acquired skill. Kira awakened the skill she wanted through her sword training, but other people sometimes awaken it when they get into dangerous situations. Their goddess is fickle, and they can't predict what kind of power will be given. There are different types of power, from legendary to the most common. Shichiku thinks that now that he hears this, it really does remind him of gacha. Arachne is especially fond of beautiful girls, including to awaken their acquired skill. And then she makes special puppets out of people with superior abilities. If the young man understands correctly, the old lady who can distinguish between demons is the victim of 50 years ago. Lucky or not, Arachne was not satisfied with this ability and eventually did not become a puppet. Shichiku thinks that this is really sickening. If he even set foot outside the capital of Anvers, the world would turn out to be a cruel, demon-ruled one. People in this world are cornered. So much so that they had to rely on someone from another world. Kira says that the Elite Four are a huge force capable of trampling people, and it seems that they obey only the Demon King, who is stronger than them. But if he's defeated, she doesn't know what to do. If you don't act quickly, you're in trouble. Moreover, her stronghold is located in the capital suburbs, and her quick temper and impulsiveness are scarier compared to the rest of the Elite Four. They've sent out spies since yesterday, but she can attack this place faster than they report it. Maybe even tomorrow they won't be able to delay it even for a second. The hero understands that she is afraid that they will not be able to delay even for a second. Perhaps they can assemble a royal army today or tomorrow, but they have yet to convince the senior sages. Shichiku jumped up and offered to go and defeat them right now. Before they get to them, they must defeat them immediately. The girls didn't understand why he was shaking so much. He's shaking because he wants to do a speed run. The young man said that everything was fine and started talking about his achievements. Denya asked him to speak in a way that she understood. Shokuba explained that if they ran away, it wouldn't even take them a day, just 15 minutes to defeat Arachne. Kira was surprised by such a short period of time. Because of this situation, they will need to prepare so that safety is more important than time. But the hero needs Kira-san's help. The girl already wanted to refuse, because the plan is not reliable. However, Dinya asked her to trust Shachik. She scratched her head and said that she had previously agreed to become his friend. The knight would not take back his words. The hero offered to cook what they can right now. He ran to the tailor and to the equipment store. Arachne's castle. The demon caught the spy sent to her. She noticed that people don't seem to know where they belong lately. She asked the spider if he was done, as expected from a defective trinket. Arachne really wants him. She says that she will definitely make a hero from another world her puppet. Kira and Dinya ran after the hero. They asked him to wait and explain everything to them. The grandfather of the main character, who went through many serious battles, said that one should strive to become a major destroyer. The weak defeat the strong giants. Such a glorified heroic tale is, after all, a rarity. It is necessary to have sufficient strength, technique, and equipment. Quantity and quality are justice on the battlefield. The winner and the loser are determined even before it starts. Even now, Kira was thinking about this guy. She watched from afar as he rejoiced that they had finally found what they were looking for. He had a shining scale ore in his hands that had finally appeared. The goddess of random numbers had finally smiled at them. Kira didn't understand why he was looking for jewelry. Out of breath, Ida was glad that they no longer needed to break stones. They were on the outskirts of the capital at the abandoned scuba mine. Shokuba said that now they can safely start tomorrow's race. They had some preliminary training today. Ida said it was just a nightmare how many hundreds of stones she had broken. The guy offered her a potion and added that it used to be a guaranteed reward. To get a rare item, they could have just manipulated it, but since a new patch appeared with the version update, the item's loss became accidental. She replied that, as usual, she didn't understand anything. Looking away, Kira added that the shining scales ore was just a beautiful mineral. These beautiful crystals, which peel off like scales, can make a lot of money when used as decoration. But it's too fragile to be used as a weapon material. Even if they can be sold, it won't be useful in battle. Suddenly, she noticed something and stopped the girl behind her with a hand gesture. A monster with long claws and two heads jumped out of the bushes towards them. With a quick movement, the main character was in front of them and attacked the attacking monster. He hit him with a single punch. After that, he sighed and said that he still didn't like the high chance of bumping into them at night. Kira thought in amazement that he had destroyed Orthrus with a single swing of a wooden stick. She said it was excellent. Ida decided that it really was a thing of incredible power. The guy suggested that they return to the guild faster, but Kira asked him to stop. She told him to take the monster's magic stone. By refining the magic stones in the guild, he would be able to raise his level. That's what they do in this world. Ida noticed that even when he defeated the giant spider and the wyvern, he didn't pick up the magic stones. Shokuba looked at her worriedly. Kira was level 40. She recognized that his fighting skills were high, but it's pretty reckless to confront an Arachne at the first level. The guy replied that it probably should be, since this is not a quick walkthrough. Approaching the monster, he added that he thought they would understand if they saw for themselves. After that, he extended his hand towards the monster's magic stone. It rose into the air, after which a black haze began to come out of it. Then a bright flash appeared, and the stone began to transform itself. The girls noticed that there was nothing unusual, so there was no point in refusing. Holding the stone in his hand, the guy said that as they see it, the process is too long. The girls asked him in disbelief. He replied that the scene of taking the magic stone appears only once, but takes a full 32 seconds. Even when they skip it, taking into account the memory load, the loss of 10 seconds is inevitable. The girls couldn't understand him at all, and Ida clarified whether raising the level was an obstacle to passing quickly. He added that after all, they can't ignore 10 seconds that last less than 30 minutes. Ida remarked, "Wouldn't it be better to pick up the magic stone that fell from the wyvern?" He replied that it had become a habit. He goes through the game without picking up objects. Clutching her head, the girl said that she was already completely confused, and Kira replied that it sounded fun. She added that her voice sounded lively, just like when they were kids. Ida replied that it was just her imagination and suggested continuing preparations for the overthrow of Arachne, after which she left, and Kira remained watching her go. In the capital, at the Aida Shield Adventurers Guild, Myron congratulated the main character on the successful acquisition of magic stones. The adventurer added that it was just amazing for his first time. Looking at the stone, he thought that it wasn't something from a weak monster. He didn't understand how he had defeated him on the first level. Myron pointed to the magic stone purifier created by the Magic Academy and told him to use it. With it, he will be able to rise from the first level. You need to put the magic stones inside and fill them with a crystallization solvent. While magic stones carry great power, they also contain miasma. If you consume too much, even a human will turn into a monster. The adventurer added that one day the wyvern also absorbed too much magic and monsters, so I ended up turning into a monster myself. The higher you are in the food chain, the easier it is to become a monster. Mirona added that if they extracted the miasma with this cleaner, then it would be safe for them, the humans, to raise the level. The main character reached the 4th level and thought that even though it was interesting to watch the process, it was still too long. Kira told him that while they were here, he should test his acquired skill. She's not sure if you can take him with you at his level. If she has anything to rely on, it's his skill. The man was wondering where they were going. The girl added that according to the legends, when heroes from another world summon, he will be given a skill with which he will defeat the Demon King. Normally, they would check on him right after he was summoned, but because he ran away, she can evaluate the skill right now, of course, if he doesn't refuse. People were delighted that they would be the first to learn about the hero's skill. They asked me to test it quickly, thinking about what kind of skill it could be. Kira asked not to be so impatient. The guy thought it was bad, they had high expectations. He thought wistfully that the newly appointed hero had absolutely no skills. In the original game, it was a development, right after the summoning. The people in the castle were incredibly disappointed. They were outraged that after 100 years, the promised hero had no blessing. They thought that it didn't fit with the legend. Did it mean that the Saint of Salvation had summoned an ordinary person? They even reproached her. After winning with 4, you can awaken your heroic skills. Since he hasn't fought them, he doesn't have any hero skills. From Stratus' point of view, he's just a weak person right now. Being like that in the beginning is the fate of heroes. It would be cruel to disappoint them, the people he had finally become friends with. Reading the description, Kira was amazed that everything was in the language of another world. The main character was shocked that he had the skill, because it was impossible. The girl replied that it was true, but she had not seen these letters in their world. She said that she would now rewrite them, after which she began to draw the symbols with a pen on a piece of paper, saying that these were rather complicated letters, she could not understand them correctly. When the main character saw the hieroglyphs, he thought that it was written disgustingly. He replied that it really looked like letters from his world, but he couldn't read them. Ida was surprised, because this was despite the fact that they were from his world. He thought that the root of the problem was that he had defeated the Demon King using mistakes. But this was never reported by the developers. He didn't understand where the encoding error came from, or what he was actually blessed with. Kira said that then there was no choice, she would subjugate Arachne on her own tomorrow. The audience was shocked by her statement. She added that she had not told about it, she had not received the permission of the old sages, but was acting on her own. The man said that it would definitely bring a lot of problems. Myron added fearfully that it was dangerous in the first place. And her opponent is Arachne, one of the elite monsters. The girl replied that she could not tell them in detail, but the danger was approaching the capital. If she was alone, she could at least take her away. The hero from another world is only on the 4th level. All they have after today's excavation is just the shining scale ore. His granted skill is unknown, they have no trump cards up their sleeve. And she's been following him all day just for the sake of Denia. But she doesn't understand at all what he's doing, that's why she can't trust him. Shachiku calmly apologized for not explaining more. But he really has a strategy. If they combined forces, then even Arachne would be easily defeated. The girl looked at him in disbelief. The adventurer tried to tell him about Arachne, but the guy continued that they couldn't use a wooden stick this time. They need a special strategy. Roughly speaking, if they lack the level, they can simply make up for this difference with the power of money. Myron asked him again. The man remembered that there was a quest for mercenaries. Even the high ranks stop at them, and they get a lot of money for selling the shining scale ore. He remembered everyone who came shopping. Ida noticed that at the market price, one shining scale was worth 10 sen. For that amount, they can only hire a low-rank team. It's unlikely that this rank will be able to subdue even a wyvern. Shachiku blushed as he listened to her speak. Kira replied that if this was his plan, he could have told her earlier. However, if they use her money or the guild's, the old sages will find out about it. He replied that if it was about money, then he could do something. With a sly face, he said that he would show them the power from another world. He was going to do something bad. Afterwards, he asked everyone to keep it a secret, and those present looked at him expectantly, thinking it would be fun. Ida thought something incredibly bad was going to happen. Shachiku warmed up and said it had been a while, so he wasn't sure if he could do it right. He needed ore and a regular slingshot. To begin with, they remove one shining scale, which they took out and quickly equip and put the slingshot back several times. He began to make sudden movements, upon seeing which those present were terrified. He stopped, saying that he had done everything right. He was able to safely equip the ghost slingshot. They didn't understand what he was talking about, because he wasn't holding anything. After that, he had to be in the same condition and get the shining ore from his inventory. He began to perform the following actions. After he spread his arms in front of him, a large number of plates appeared in front of him. People froze in shock. The main character said with a smile that they now have 999 ores and offered to trade it to the merchant guild and earn a lot of money. Myron literally started to fall from what she saw, and Ida screamed, asking what he was doing. He replied that it was a safe duplication error that did not affect the system, but that was not what she was talking about. Kira thought it was creepy, they were all the same shape and all real. Ida thought about the price and decided that the economy would go downhill because of this. The guy replied, so since the things that were no longer money but jewelry, if you think about it just as finding a new mine, it's all right. But the girl understood that it wouldn't end like that. Shocked, Kira continued to think that this was simply impossible. This other worlder really had his own strategy. Was he serious? Meanwhile, Aid bit into the head of the main character, who was screaming that he was taking damage. He promised that he would prepare perfectly for battle and win a worthy victory over Arachne. Later, the main character asked to accept all the ore of the shining scales for sale. At the Merchant Guild of the Royal Capital in the main office, all the staff were horrified by what they saw. She looked at the objects. The girl thought that something was wrong here. She realized that they were all genuine. However, she could not believe it. But a magic mirror is never wrong. Meanwhile, Shachiku urged her on. She told the employee to bring almost 10 million. He asked her again, and she confirmed once again that they needed to be brought from the vault. They didn't even know where their safe was. The main character was outraged by the behavior of the bank's employees, as if they were deliberately stalling for time. As a result, they placed several bags filled with gold coins in front of him, after which the guy thanked them, quickly scooped everything into a bag, and said goodbye. Ida ran after him, asking him to stop, leaving the stunned employee on the spot. The running guy was thinking that the merchants, people opened the auction at 9 in the morning. He sold the multiplied shining ore and got 10 million on his hands. He used boots and a traveling merchant's purse to run. Now that he had them, prepared in the evening, he can carry the whole amount at once. All this happened with the help of the so-called shining scales or cheat. Kira was surprised that he could explain something on the run. Suddenly, a bird appeared next to her, which delivered a message from Myron. She saw that it turned out that the fastest origin had gone according to his plan. She called out to the main character and said that she had great news, because a super talented high-ranking group had appeared on the northern square. At this time, a crowd of people stood in the middle of the royal capital and looked at the group of silver dragon fangs. They were thrilled to be able to see them, because it was a very famous band that they would like to get an autograph from. The first student of the Eric Academy of Magic confirmed that she is the great magician of the group. The cost of one autograph was 100 coins apiece. Petting Rutra, the last of the Silver Wolf family, cost 1,000 coins. You could shake her hand for 10,000. After all, a high-ranking adventurer needs a lot of gold. The man with the autograph noticed that they were more friendly than he expected. Another one asked him if he was serious. They were more like a dance group. Among all the people, one person was watching them with displeasure. At that moment, the Silver Dragon Scale leader approached them, who noticed that they were not some kind of traveling entertainers. He asked if they knew where to find a hero from another world. He added that the day before yesterday, the Holy Virgin was supposed to successfully summon the hero. They also want to join his squad. It is now that everyone needs to unite in order to defeat the Lord of Darkness. People murmured, doubting if they were talking about that clumsy guy. They would rather receive protection from normal adventurers. One said that if you were looking for a hero, then he probably offered to escort the man. The guy who offered help was pointing in the direction. Suddenly, the silver dragon's body literally split into two and his face literally froze. Seeing this, the guy fell to the ground and screamed. He thought it was a monster. The girl realized that they had been discovered and immediately ran away. Meanwhile, there were real adventurers next to them. The silver wolf struck at the fake, causing it to fly away from him, and the real magician remarked that they would never talk such nonsense. After that, she launched an attack. The man with the sword calmly looked at the fire and said that because of these imposters under their name, their reputation would now go downhill. Erika extended her hand to the guy sitting on the ground, offering her help. She said it was okay. She wasn't the type to charge money for handshakes. She then turned to the elderly woman, saying that she had kept her cool perfectly and thanked her. She looked down so dejectedly. The man said that her powers of observation were frightening. He asked how she knew they weren't real. If she had raised a cry near the unarmed, they would have committed a massacre. The quiet call for help turned out to be a sure violation. The woman shook and apologized, because she was still afraid when she saw monsters. The man realized that even without being an adventurer, she knows how to win. He asked Erika to help calm her down. After that, he added to his grandmother that they, together with the hero, would defeat the Lord of Darkness. He also added that it is better for yesterday's conscript not to climb onto the battlefield. As he spoke, he grinned maliciously. At the same time, on the main avenue of the Hero King, the group continued its run. Kira wondered if the guy was really running to Arachne's castle, because it was crazy. Ida replied that she couldn't guarantee that. Turning to the side, the main character noticed that if he tumbled forward, it would be even faster. After that, he showed them what they should do, which caused the girls to scream. He said that this method of somersaults doubles the speed when performed correctly, so it was extremely popular among runners. However, during such a race, frantic button pressing is necessary, and then the fingers just fall off. After that, it was possible to go on sick leave for 2 weeks due to the epidemic of tendinitis. The method was also banned for player health reasons. At the moment, using this technique cancels the rating. Kira asked if he had overtrained, and Aida wondered if games were entertainment in the world. The guy replied that it was because it was a game that they were serious. Kira thought that the more she learns about this guy, the more mysterious he becomes. She couldn't believe that such people really existed. A few years ago, at the royal castle, Kira, the eldest daughter of Duke Latifica, cried out in tears to be released and not to touch Aida. They asked her how she dared to call her by her first name, but she replied that she didn't care, because they were friends. Ida, the first princess, tried to talk to her, but she was stopped. High Priestess Milena Lee Salafari told Kira to stop embarrassing herself. Lady Ida has been blessed from birth as a holy savior. She is the hope of this world. She needs to train hard for the hero summoning day. They don't have time for children's games. Kira screamed that she understood this. She would not be angry because of the usual training. But they all bully the girl. She saw how they always use healing potions. But in fact, they only beat her. Milena replied that it was a training exercise to strengthen spiritual strength. To summon heroes from another world, you need to continuously recite sacred verses for 10 days and nights. She loses consciousness on the second day. The great summoning is possible only once in a century. When the stars of the worlds coincide, failure must not be allowed. Only heroes from another world can become the hope of this demon-ravaged world. As the daughter of a duke, she must understand that it is not worth allowing the next century to become an era of darkness. Kira glared at her. She didn't understand what kind of hope they were talking about. To summon a hero, Ida must do something, and then this alien will destroy the Overlord. But this is their world, are they crazy? Then why do the soldiers have swords? Let them destroy the demon themselves. She couldn't understand why stupid old people would hope for a child. The trembling attendant tried to stop her, but Milena wouldn't let her, saying that if she was so sure, then let her try to do it herself. Although, unlike Lady Aida, she's just a spoiled brat. She doesn't have any blessings, all she can do is scream. In response, she snatched the sword from the soldier, and, holding it with difficulty, said that she was from the Latifica family, stronger than anyone in this world, stronger than heroes. She swears that she will destroy all the demons. She screamed that's why they would stop torturing her friend. There were tears in her eyes, but she was full of confidence. From then on, she studied with her grandfather and practiced hard with the sword. She completely abandoned the music she loved. By the age of 15, she had no equal in the castle, and at 17 she finally awakened the blessing of the goddess. At 18, she defeated the captain of the Dragon Knights, after which she was awarded the Latifica armor, a symbol of the kingdom's strength. She failed to stop Aida's training, and as a result, she became the strongest saint in history. It is said that the demon has already been defeated by a hero from another world, but the battle is not over yet. Now Kira has also gained strength and realized how naive she was. Therefore, she would like to be allowed to carry this burden with them. She looked at the girl and the guy running ahead of her. She noticed that the guy was running straight. She called out to him that he had passed by the North Square and asked if he was going to address a high-ranking group. The calm guy replied negatively, which caused the girl to be shocked. Shachiku apologized and added that he couldn't speak yesterday because of Jen. Ida thought that she hadn't heard him say anything about helping at all. They won't need a high-ranking Silver Dragonfang team. Stunned, Kira tried to find out from him what everything was for then. 50 years ago, in the village of Tadanka near the capital, a village girl, Laurent, was walking down the street when she was called. It was a time when life was peaceful. Her younger sister Nolan said she would go with her. Laurent asked if she already had a fever. The nurse happily replied that she was already asleep. At that moment, the man in the carriage called out and asked if they were going far. Laurent said she was just going up the hill to pick strawberries. In response, he asked them to be careful. They say monsters have appeared in these parts, so the Lord ordered them not to go far from the village. They are especially the most beautiful sisters in the village. Nolan laughed and said that's what he always says. He replied that everyone thinks so. As they walked, people greeted them joyfully, asking them to share the jam later, and not to overexert themselves by returning before dark. Nolan replied with a smile that she knew. Later, she asked her sister if she was interested in heroes from another world. Laurent didn't understand why she was suddenly asking about this. The girl replied that she had read about the adventures of old heroes. The direction tree, the caves of magic crystals, the forests of dragon bones. It's so beautiful there. She would also like to go on a journey with the hero. My sister replied that it would be difficult with such a frail body as hers. But she didn't agree with her, because it was a blessing from the goddess. She read in a book that the goddess gives people a special blessing, you just need to train hard to get it. When the adventure and fun begins. My sister thought it was nonsense. She decided that when the next hero came, they would already be old ladies. Suddenly, she smelled a strange smell, and now was not the time to burn the grass. As she approached the cliff, she saw that there were giant spiders in the village, from which the inhabitants were running away, and the houses were engulfed in flames. Horrified, Nolan said she had to warn the Lord quickly, but at that moment a monster appeared behind her, which caused the girl to scream. Spider said she finally found it. They will be able to bring such lovely girls as a gift to Arachne. The sisters looked at her in horror. In the dungeon, Spider said that it was necessary to put a brand on the defective ones. Nolan was chained to the wall by a spider web and was calling for her sister. She was told that it was her turn now, and she hoped that she would be lucky to be blessed. After that, the girl started screaming, asking to get up, because it was very painful for her. She continued to call her sister, who watched in horror what was happening. Later, an elderly woman screamed and got up in her bed calling for her sister. She sat and breathed heavily, remembering what had happened. She was shaking and said that they weren't in the capital, so everything would be fine. After that, she began to sob loudly. There was a spider web in the corner of her room with a butterfly on it. At this time, Kira stopped at the entrance to the village. It was Spider Street, the former village of Tadanka. Meanwhile, the guy did not stop and continued on his way. He said that this time they already have a wooden stick, so instead of the forest, the souls will immediately come here. It will be faster. The girls were shocked to remember what happened here 50 years ago. By royal decree, this territory has now become forbidden to everyone under the rule of Arachne. Under the influence of dark energy, time seemed to have stopped here. Looking at the scattered things, she thought that people seemed to have been here literally just now. The call of her name brought her out of her reverie. Ida told her to hurry, otherwise they would be left behind again. She agreed with her. The main character said it was good that they were here. He asked them to stay close, because this is a difficult location to destroy Arachne. Kira didn't understand, because her castle was still far away. But at this time, several giant monsters appeared right above them, standing on top of each other. The girls were scared, but the guy looked at them calmly. Kira realized that they were Arachne's servants. If she had a squad of female warriors now, it would be different. She began to draw her weapon, but the guy stopped her, saying that the goddess's blessing should be saved for the battle. She was trying to tell him that he couldn't handle that much. He agreed, saying that with a wooden stick, victory would be easy, but the fight would take too much time, so they would break through. Folding his arms in front of him, he quickly ran among them, shouting at the girls to repeat after him. Ida told Kira to be faster, otherwise they would fall behind. The guy explained that spiders have fixed movement patterns. If caught, they will lose more than 10 seconds. When the spider is aggressive, you need to change the direction by 60 degrees. At the first level, you need to take care of the characteristics, so they'll just run through there. But still, this area requires fast and precise movement. They quickly ran after each other. Ida shouted that the spiders were catching up with them from behind. Shashiku replied that it was about time. Taking out a bag, he started throwing gold coins at them. The golden roll mechanic, in which coins deal damage to enemies and are guaranteed to let you break away. And also, the amount of gold decreases accordingly. If you scatter them behind you like that, they will immediately fall behind. When you have a lot of money, you can afford this method. Although it's strange that coins distract monsters, because gold is useless to them. Spider Street is now completed. It wasn't like the girls were great runners. Ida realized that they had been saving up all the gold for this. Such a large amount. Furious, Kira asked who would even like the praise for running away. He also has the power to destroy, so why doesn't he run around and scatter the gold? And he won't even look at this massacre of the village. Remembering his words earlier, she wondered if this was just a game of defeating the Dark Lord for him. A day ago, a general gathering was announced in the throne room of the Lord of Darkness, and all the sinful children were to appear before her. The spider weaving white threads, the bloody Duke of the Scarlet Feast, the black hungry quagmire, and the apocalypse king of despair must face the remains of their father, who rules the end. They were brought together by the fourth Lord of Darkness, the daughter of the Lord, Morphomet. She said that they should bring her the heads of strangers, praised as heroes. One day ago, during the mining of the ore, the round table of the Lord of Darkness was assembled. The daughter of the Overlord, the fourth Lord of Darkness, sat at the head of the table. Through the gates of hell, a magical teleporter connecting the base of the four lords and the round table, Spider Queen Arachne, one of the four kings, arrived. Black Hungry Quagmire Raspy, one of the four kings, said that she was late and asked if she had forgotten how to use teleport magic. Did insects really have memory holes? King of Despair Brahmas, one of the four, said with a grin that this was an audacious greeting. The youngsters were so bloodthirsty that it was just a disaster. Raspy laughed at his tone and asked if he thought the old spider was young too. Arachne viciously questioned him about what he had said. Raspy only laughed louder, telling her not to overexert herself, because her doll would soon come to an end. The spider was furious and demanded that he shut up. In response, he also began to get angry. Morphomet tapped her staff and told them all to calm down. She collected them for a reason. She asked if they had noticed that their great dark father, the Dark Lord of the Apocalypse, had lost the Black Sun. And then he disappeared. She began to sob loudly, saying that her father was gone. He never lost anyone, it was just terrible, and when she was bored, he let her listen to the last screams of people. You calmed down abruptly and asked if they were sad too, and if that's the case, then why aren't they crying? They should be sobbing. Her face was angry now. Raspy immediately pretended to start crying, but Arachne couldn't answer. Morphomet added that yesterday, people summoned heroes from another world and destroyed her father. The hero who was summoned yesterday destroyed the Lord of Darkness on the same day. Raspy started laughing loudly at these words. He said that such a thing was simply impossible, someone was playing too much, it was nonsense. Seriously speaking, Morphomet is sick. In response, she grabbed his head with her hand and asked if he was bullying her. Raspy was startled, but after Morphomet released him and said that it was really impossible for her father to be destroyed so quickly, she couldn't believe her own eyes. Reluctantly, she would show them her father's last moment. She began to form magic next to her and invited them to look at his last look. An eye was formed next to it, which reflects the events that the departed saw before the end. She told them to look at the image of someone who would be their worst enemy. Everyone with calm faces began to silently stare at the image in which the main character was almost naked, searching, and appeared in the room in his hands. Brahmas was surprised that this was the hero from another world. Raspi didn't understand if he was a samurai or something else, why he wasn't dressed. And he liked the image of Aida as a kitty, because she was cute. Next, they saw how the main character struck at the Lord of Darkness. After that, he started dodging like that all the time and launching his counterattacks. Brahmas was amazed that he had almost destroyed the Dark Lord in 3 strikes. Did he have any effect? Raspi couldn't believe what was happening. Because he didn't even have a sacred sword, he was beating the Lord with a wooden stick. The King of Despair was shocked that the wooden beam was so powerful he couldn't accept it, considering it just a joke. Are the current sticks really that strong? At that moment, the main character launched his powerful attack. At the end of the viewing, everyone was silent. Morphomet said that this is the whole denouement. Her father was destroyed in a matter of minutes by a hero from another world and in such a stupid way. She was furious. She decided that she would never forgive this hero who humiliated and destroyed her father. She torments them mockingly, slowly, and cruelly. She turned to Arachne, noting that she seemed to know. If she has information about him, then she should tell him. In response, she thought that Morphomet had decided to command only because she was the daughter of a master, and she smiled broadly and thought that it wouldn't last long. After that, she replied that she didn't know anything. Morphomet stared at her intently. In the castle, Arachne quickly lay down the corridor, impatiently saying that she really wanted it. She decided to definitely get the power of a hero from another world. With it, she will be able to destroy this arrogant Morphomet and this audacious slime. And Brahmas annoys her too, so she can deal with him. Thus, the hero will become her doll. His power, which crushed the Lord with a piece of wood, is the unsurpassed power of a fighting god. Yes, he's a man. It's annoying, but his strength is really mythical. She'll make him her toy and take everything, and she has the blessing to make it possible. It was the golden armor of the sun, a blessing that had been given to her. Even the blade of a diamond sword, or the greatest archmage's spellcasters, won't leave a scratch on it. This is an absolute impenetrable defense. His club is strong, but it's just a physical attack. He defeated the Lord and the others, but he is powerless against her. She can safely mock him. She imagined it happening. Golden armor is the strongest shield. Yes, she did not use the sword to destroy the Dark Lord, but they are the only ones that can neutralize the hero's power. When she gains the power of a hero, she will become the rightful and de facto ruler of the world. No matter how anyone tries to object, the strongest wins in this world. Until now, she was weak and danced to the tune of the Lord of Darkness. But now everything will be different. She will become the strongest new overlord. No one will dare to order her. She will destroy all the disobedient. This is her ideal world of absolute submission, her freedom and her happiness. She was blushing with anticipation. She couldn't wait to get him. She started calling her servants, thinking about what they were doing, because they had to get her a hero from another world faster. Suddenly, she froze in shock when she saw Shochika downstairs with the girls, who were standing quietly and looking at her. The main character greeted her. Kira was looking at one of the 4 kings with a serious face. When she saw her, she remembered what had happened in the village. Angrily, she decided that they should destroy her right here and now. The main character said that Arachne would attack them with endless hordes of spiders as they made their way to her. Therefore, he will be defenseless during the attack. Kira has to clear the square of them at this time. She thought he was trying to hit her weak spot and agreed with him, asking if he was sure they had a chance. Ida replied that they had already defeated the stronger demons, but he disagreed. Judging by the health of the capital's ice dragon, the appearance of the 2-headed dog in the beginner area, as well as the spawn pattern of the spiders. After he destroyed the Overlord flawlessly, the difficulty changed from simple to impossible. This means that Arachne is now stronger than the king he defeated. The girls with a dumbfounded face said that he was scaring them now, but he told them to trust him, and he took all that into account when strategizing. It will not be possible to destroy it in one account, since Arachne has too much health. Therefore, it will be necessary to make several passes, and for a reliable victory, it will also be necessary to completely clear out small enemies, so he called Kira. The one standing on the stairs was laughing at him, because they had come to her on their own. She wanted so much to meet the hero from another world, so this time he won't run away. Noticing the girls, she added that he had brought new toys. It was nice of him. Smiling maliciously, she told him that she would make all her dolls out of them. After that, she stretched out her hand to the side. At the same time, wounds formed on Kira's body. She didn't even have time to move, only froze in place. She fell to the floor in shock, her whole body literally shaking. Her teammates called out to her, not understanding what was going on. She, sweating with fear, realized that she was alive and had no wounds on her. She decided that a feeling of fear had been imposed on her. Even her body wouldn't listen to her. The main character realized that the girl was in a daze. She got 5% of the spider's aura of terror. Today was definitely not their day. Arachne said that this female knight was only formidable in appearance. Shochiku tossed a mana recovery potion to Ide, saying they were changing their strategy. Until Kira recovers, she will clean out the change. With this mana potion, her powers should just be enough. The girl agreed with him, and the spider screamed that she didn't know what they were up to, but it was useless. However, Ida had already begun to cast her fire spells, attacking the attacking spiders. This was the initial massive fire magic of Denia. They lit up with each of her attacks. Kira, who was looking at her, thought that Ida was now fighting directly with her enemy. She remembered her words about the sacred sword that she had said in childhood, but she understood that she couldn't, and she was scared. She thought she could finally help Ek. Was she being called the strongest swordsman? If she didn't fight now, then everything she had been striving for was for nothing. Shochiku called out to her, telling her that although she was still immobilized, she should keep an eye on Aida. They are now in the final stage of the cleanup. The girl asked him blankly. Arachne noticed that she was sorry, but they were too late. The golden armor of the sun is already on her. Shochiku explained that this armor is a mythical weapon that gives full vulnerability. Ida was shocked by this. The spider screamed that her armor would block any damage. With her fists or magic, it didn't matter. This means that she is invincible. They are doomed to be destroyed without even scratching her. Therefore, they must fall before her. But her tirade was interrupted by a powerful attack that hit her right in the head. It was the main character who threw gold coins at her. Ida turned around, trying to figure out how he could attack. She saw him take out a large bag of coins, preparing to throw them again. This enraged the spider. She tried to say something, but he attacked her again. He said that in a battle with her, the most dangerous thing is absolute protection. Physical, magical, and mental attacks have no effect on her. Even their legendary stick is useless here. But Ida didn't understand what throwing gold coins would do. Wasn't it a trick to escape from the enemy? Because it wasn't even an attack. The guy confirmed that it wasn't an attack. In the game system, throwing gold coins is not considered an attacking action, so gold armor is powerless here. In this game, coin tossing is considered a special action in which throwing money causes damage and is guaranteed to run ahead. But you can't escape in a boss fight, so they use these techniques differently. Since you can't escape, you can throw endless coins in this way, throwing into a pseudo-attack. Arachne, meanwhile, did not understand why the armor was not working. If you fight honestly, it won't work. But usually, according to the strategy, you need to get mythical items that remove the blessing, and this takes a lot of time. Therefore, throwing coins is the best way out. The damage of the coins depends on the amount of gold. If you throw it at a maximum of about 30 times, that's it. The end. Under the constant bombardment of coins, she can't even move. So she ordered her spiders to shut up the main character. But Ida got in the way, ordering them not to get in the way. The spider was furious. She began to summon her energy, promising that she would destroy them all. But the guy didn't stop. From different angles, he continued to inflict attack after attack on her, hitting different parts of her body. After a while, she fell, and he realized that it had worked. He said that with a decrease in health of up to 50%, the second phase can be cancelled. Otherwise, she would have started spitting cobwebs and stuff like that. So they skipped the 60-second scene of her transformation. The Spider Queen realized that she lacked the strength to transform. She was shocked by everything that was happening, but the main character did not think to stop. Kira, who was sitting behind him, was trying to figure out what was going on. In front of her was a man throwing coins and a monster writhing from gold. Is this really the hero's battle with Arachne? Meanwhile, the spider started asking him to stop, calling him names at the same time. Kira realized that the spider looked like a clown, even though it was. After all, she is not terrible for the main character. He always ignores everything. Common sense? Tragedy? Fear. There was only one thing in his mind: to ignore everything. He only thought that he needed to destroy his enemy as quickly as possible. The girl realized that this was exactly what he was, the hero of another world. She also realized that this was not entirely true. He was not a hero, but a player. It looked like some kind of circus to her. It was absolutely crazy. A smile appeared on her face at these words. Meanwhile, Ida continued to attack the attacking spiders, but at some point her magic was exhausted, and the potions all ran out. The main character probably only has to throw a couple of times, so she hopes that Ida's body has retained all its strength. The guy realized that something was wrong with the girl and shouted at her. Her face darkened. There was no strength left. She frowned at the approaching spiders. At that moment, the sound of a blade being drawn rang out. It was Kira who finally came out of her daze and attacked the monsters using the Waltz Battle Symphony. She shouted to the main character that she was taking him on. He calmly turned away and reported that he had only 4 throws left. Arachne screamed that she was asking for forgiveness. She would give him all her dolls, land, castles, servants. Whatever he wants, she can do. Therefore, she tearfully prayed for only one thing: that he would not destroy her, because she did not want this. The main character asked her again while remembering how his grandmother told him about what happened in the village and asked him to make a world without monsters. His face contorted with rage. He brandished a new batch of coins, saying that the time she had taken from many was more precious than her life. He launched his next attack with gold coins, which turned out to be powerful enough for the final blow that defeated the boss. Arachne started screaming that she hadn't done anything wrong at all. At this time, her body began to change, freeing her from the spider shell. The main character picked up what fell out after her disappearance. The girls looked at it in shock, amazed that everything was completed. He reported that the rapid destruction of Arachne was completed. The final time was 38 seconds worse than the target, but the unexpected delay in the trade guild of 3 minutes was compensated for later, so the result is quite decent. Kira was overwhelmed by the fact that he was talking again without stopping. He replied that after each race, mistakes should be analyzed and used only for the next time. But maybe the idea of the next time didn't inspire her. Just at this time, the castle began to collapse. Large debris fell on them. Ida told them to approach her. She used Shepherd's Light Travel, which allows her to instantly teleport to places she has already visited. This is a special artifact provided by the Kingdom of Denia. She sent them to Falshura's capital. After their disappearance, the castle literally collapsed, leaving a lot of dust, and the spiders began to disappear into thin air. They soon found themselves in the royal city at the headquarters of the Adventurers Guild. They were met by Jen, who was running towards them at full speed, calling out to them. When he ran up, he said that he had made it, and asked to take an amulet for good luck. It was a release thread, a rare item that allowed you to escape from any dungeon with any boss. Shokuba didn't understand why he was doing this. Jen didn't ask if he was going to hunt Arachne. The main character's face froze. Kira only now realized what had happened, and Ida noticed that it was only 9 o'clock in the morning. They had been gone for only 15 minutes. Jen said that with him, he would be able to come back at least fine. He doesn't want his guild juniors to be destroyed. Shokuba began cautiously telling him what had happened. After telling the story, his piercing scream literally spread throughout the capital. At this time, white clouds were floating calmly in the sky. The kings gathered at the round table of demons. Brahma said in frustration that she had been with them yesterday. Respi laughed at this, offering to take another look at the recording of how she was destroyed by gold coins. Morphomet noticed that her golden armor wasn't even her property. She left without recognizing the weak spot. A real pitiful fate for such a stupid insect. Raspi supported her with a laugh, noting that she was the weakest of the 4. Bramus also said that these are the real demons, very tough. He thought that they were pure-blooded. Their ridicule was not easy mockery, it was the privilege of the strong. The heroes destroyed the Dark Lord on the first day of the summoning, and Arachne on the third. It's hard to believe, but it really happened. How could he know the spider's weakness, which even he, an ally, is not familiar with? Perhaps the goddess blessed him with the gift of prophecy, or the eye of truth. But even that doesn't explain everything. His movements are too precise, as if he has already fought her many times, as if he has repeated the training countless times, but this simply cannot be. With such tricks, the Overlord cannot be destroyed. For thousands of years, people fought with him, and he fell from an ordinary stick. A Dark Lord should have no weaknesses. Thinking about the weak points, he wondered how a coin toss was any different from a stone toss. He remembered how the spider was attacked. A human's gold coin can't have that kind of power, even if it's enhanced with magic. If this is a possibility, then why didn't Arachne know it? She wasn't stupid enough not to test the armor for all its advantages and disadvantages. He decided to stop, because he had too little information to draw conclusions. It is better not to make assumptions based on incomplete data. After all, it cannot be that the weak points of the moral are a gold coin. In any case, this hero is an unprecedented threat. The millennial balance of demon supremacy is beginning to crumble. We need to get rid of it, or fix it somehow. He wondered if he shouldn't take revenge, because it's unlikely to work. Meanwhile, Raspy was very pleased with the main character. He found him very funny, because he can attack not only with a stick. At that time, Shachiku woke up, decided that he had slept well. He wondered what time it was. Outside, the girls heard that it was getting noisy and decided to enter. The guy behind the wall was naked, which made Kira blush and scream. The guy asked them if they had seen his phone, because he searched all his clothes and did not find it. Without him, his job would stand up. Ida noticed that she looked like he still hadn't woken up, and Kira suggested that he finally get dressed. Sitting at the table, the depressed guy apologized for his obscene appearance. The girls realized that he had already regained consciousness, and the guy remembered everything that had happened to him. And he was called into the world of the game, and on the very first day, he destroyed the boss. Today is the 4th day since the draft. He thought about how his job was. Suddenly, he decided to ask Kira why she was wearing a different outfit. It was the same combat suit, it's just gorgeous. The girl looked away and said that he had been fighting nonstop for 3 days. He was probably tired. Therefore, today I must forget about the battles for a while and relax my body and soul. If a woman in armor had come to him, he wouldn't have been able to relax properly, so she decided to change her style. She asked if he didn't like her new style. The blushing guy replied that everything was fine, and thought that compared to her usual armor, it looked very strange. He added that it suits her very well, which made Kira blush. Ida suggested going outside and taking a walk, because the weather is just great, but the guy replied that there was a place he wanted to go. After taking a closer look, the girls noticed that he had a pretty face from Kira's point of view. She blushed again and decided to pack up. Because they were in the middle of the street, she shouldn't think about it. Aida risked herself for them. Immediately, Kira remembered that recently, when the guy was naked, the girl calmly treated him. She was even more embarrassed, thinking that they were already at another stage of the relationship. She stopped in the middle of the street, silently screaming. Ida noticed that she was kind of weird today, to which the guy replied that it wasn't a mistake that he knew. She was 24 years old. She was making things difficult. The boy pointed at the main character with his finger and called him wrong. Mom tried to stop him, but he reminded her that she called him that and other heroes from other worlds too. The people present also noticed him and began to surround him, smiling broadly and talking about him. Shachiku was embarrassed by this. People were discussing that he had already destroyed the spider. They had already been told everything. To them, he wasn't just a suspicious person. The girls realized that Arachne's castle was a stone's throw from the capital. There was nothing to hide. The guy was delighted with the warm welcome. It was like a room with fans at an event. The children asked him about how he destroyed Manstra, maybe with the help of mistakes. The guy thought that there was no such thing in the original. He looked at Aida in the hope that she would help him, but she turned away, and he began to show himself. In the residential area for refugees of the royal capital, a group of people came to the door and knocked, apologizing for disturbing them. It was opened by his grandmother, who recognized him and invited him inside. She apologized that she only had one chair, but he said it was okay, they had come uninvited. He handed her an ornament in the shape of a butterfly which was already cracked, and said that this thing was left after defeating Arachne. He asked if she recognized him. The woman recognized her sister's hairpin. Ida realized that she was related to the girl who was under Arachne's control. The woman said she still dreams about the day she lost her sister. She can't forget how she was trapped by the spider. But now it's over. Now there won't be any more bad dreams. She smiled, transformed into a young girl, and thanked the heroes from another world. Then they left, waving at her. Kira said that he, it turns out, has a heart. She thought he was just thinking about games, but he wasn't like that at all. He replied that it was a side quest of a butterfly in a spider's web. The girls asked him about it, and he replied that it was related to the main plot, but not mandatory for the main ending. The reward is one healing potion, although it was possible to skip it. But still, he wanted to return it, because it was the property of her dear sister. The girls fell silent, which caused him to ask why they were quiet. With a gloomy face, they replied that they had not expected to hear such sentimental words. These words surprised the guy. At the Adventurers Guild, they were met by Miron, the receptionist, who asked about what it was. He did not understand her, and she clarified why he did not hire high-class mercenaries. She specifically invited them. They arrived, but he was nowhere to be found. They were so upset that they weren't accepted, that it was just a nightmare. The guy apologized and thought that the training of the mercenary system was just too long. The girl burst into tears and said she was glad they were back in one piece. After that, she apologized to Kira because she has a day off, but a request came from the castle, in which they demand an urgent report on Arachne. Kira replied that it was a very quick reaction for the Council of Sages. Now he will write a report to the elders. The rest was very short but pleasant. She will hide the abilities of the main character so that there are no unnecessary questions about them. Ida agreed, and the guy again admired her manner of speech. Leaving, Kira wished them a pleasant stay. As they walked down the street, the girl noticed that there were very few people at this hour. He agreed with her and thought that they were alone for the first time since they met Kira. He stopped and called out to the girl, saying that he should have said it earlier. He bowed and said that he had put them in danger, so he apologized. She looked at him in surprise, and he added that his decision on the battlefield was on the verge they suffered for him. The damage of non-player characters is treated with a potion, but still. The girl replied that Kira had made it on time, as planned, so she wasn't hurt, so he shouldn't apologize. She turned away and said that she was curious, because he keeps saying that this world is a game, but he behaves as if it were real. He replied that he wasn't mocking her, after which she laughed and said she was just teasing. She knew the risks of going to Arachne and decided to trust Kira and him. Turning around, she added with a smile that she asked him not to let her down further. The guy just stared at her in surprise. Turning away, she laughed and said his name, saying it sounded funny when you said it. The blushing guy thought it was the first time she had called his name. It doesn't sound serious. Maybe you should introduce yourself by a different name. The girl asked him what he was thinking about, but he replied that it was nothing. Soldiers surrounded them from all sides, which caused the girl to ask what they were doing. One of them turned to the guy and said that he was wanted in the castle and he could not refuse. Shokuba thought that this was nonsense, because there was no such thing in the event. There was a voice that told them to stop and not be so threatening, because he was their guest, invited from another world. A saint appeared from the carriage in front of them. The guy looked at the two girls in amazement, not understanding why there were two aides next to him. Ida Falshura is the only daughter of King Falshura of the Teruari Kingdom. She is considered the strongest saint among all saints, capable of reaching the divine level, despite the fact that she is a human. This is an excerpt from the official guide. In the royal castle, they found themselves in the princess's tower, where there was a long, high staircase. The princess ordered the knights to leave her, and Dania will be with her, so no guards are required. They obeyed. They began to climb up on a mechanism that is similar to an elevator. The main character was thinking about how it was even possible that Princess Ida and Denia were together. It's unlikely, but maybe it was the result of streamers doing all kinds of trash. If you attack a character, they move slightly to avoid it so you can take Aida outside the castle. He noticed that for some reason, Denia was still silent. Probably it was a system bug unknown to him. They went upstairs. Ida told the princess to stop acting out the theater, calling her Ain. The princess asked if he knew about them, and then she quickly began to take off all her clothes and jewelry. It wasn't the princess, but a guy, or rather, the princess's brother, who said that she seemed to like someone very much. Shochiku was shocked by what had happened. He did not understand what was going on. Ida said he probably already knows, but he'll introduce them anyway. It was her younger brother and Ein's doppelganger, but the guy didn't know anything about it at all. He was at a loss, because he didn't know such a non-playable character. He started asking about it again, saying that she was the only daughter, and the girl realized that he didn't know anything, and after that she said that she knew everything about this world. There are 1,063 non-player characters in the game, including background ones, their names, parameters, quests, behavior patterns. He remembers everything. But Aida's doppelganger and the character named Ain weren't there. The prince said that he might not have known. After all, the hero is from another world, and he kinda shouldn't have existed at all. The departed King Liandal, the grandfather of Princess Aida, was very fond of women. He was bored by many noble and commoners, so he went to street women. That's how he appeared, technically. He's not her brother, but her uncle. Soon his mother died of an illness, and the royal family did not recognize him, and simply ignored him. Shochiku was surprised that he was giving it away so easily. The prince was the spitting image of Princess Aida, which is why he was secretly adopted and made a double of the princess when she travels incognito under the guise of Denia. He would rather play the female role of a princess in the palace, but it was better than being framed by the slums. The main character thought that he had a rather long tongue, and also with Aida's face. Ain said that only his sister, the current king, and Lady Kira know about his existence. Therefore, how can a hero who has just been summoned from another world know him? Ida replied that it was a little different from what he had imagined. He's a little crazy, so she thought differently. Ain didn't understand what she meant. He said there was no time for non-dating right now. It turns out that he destroyed Arachne on the third day after the summoning. He asked me to tell you everything that happened there in detail. Shochiku and Ida were silent. Ain said that it might not matter to the heroes of another world, but for them, destroying a demon is an important political issue. Because of such a quick victory, the ministers and the Council of Sages are at a loss. Ada added that he was very smart. He performs the duties of the princess in her absence. The Council of Sages is an advisory body to the king. It consists of representatives of 6 great houses, including the royal family. Lady Kira's Latifica house is one of them, although Kira herself does not represent him. Shochiku thought that the Council of Sages from the original story was mentioned only by the title, but there is one theory that says that the council forbids anyone other than the hero from destroying demons because of the fear of their king. This is a fan theory based on game events. Ida confirmed his words. Because some in the council would not like the news of the victory over Arachne, Shochiku thought it was the right thing to do, because no one else knows that the Dark Lord has been destroyed. I noticed that due to the abnormally fast victory, the council demanded an explanation from Kira, the head of the guild. They are interested in what is behind this unprecedented speed. But Kira hates the council, so she's withholding key details. The guy remembered how she said that she would hide the abilities of the main character. That's why the prince brought him here. As the doppelganger of the princess, he must know the truth in every detail. Ida said that he could tell him everything, even the first days after the draft. Shochiku agreed with her, and she added that he was about to hear shocking things, so he had to hold on. Ain said he was already expecting something unusual, so it wouldn't surprise him so easily. She must not underestimate the shadow of the wisest princess. Sometime later, the sweating guy asked in shock if it was true that he had already destroyed the Demon Lord. He didn't understand what kind of nonsense this was, but the main character replied that there was a speed race in another world, a race to destroy the Dark Lord. Ain didn't understand why he was the first. Shochiku replied that it was possible to destroy 4 lords for the true ending, but he decided to choose another one. Ida thought that Kira had a completely different reaction. She said she warned him that he was a little crazy. Ain cried out at her words and said that it wasn't just Kira. He would have hidden it too. He added that it turns out that only she, the hero, and Kira know about the destruction of the Overlord. She confirmed and added that the root of the evil was still sealed, so revealing the whole truth would only spread panic. Ain thought about it worriedly and said that if his sister was saying it, then it was all true. He would somehow calm the council down and not let them get in the way. After that, he pointed his finger at the main character and said that he still didn't trust him because he was too suspicious. He said that he had urgent business and asked if the guy wanted to play his game again to rebuild the village ruled by Arachne. Ida asked again, and he added that the village had been devastated and was now neutral ground. It used to be a thriving village, with a capital nearby and a large dungeon full of adventurers. For villains and demons, this is a very tasty place. In a couple of days, the news of the victory over Arachne will spread across the continent. And then a new monster base may appear. This cannot be allowed. Therefore, it is necessary to make the minimum necessary buildings as soon as possible and resettle the people of the capital. There are too many refugees here, it will destroy 2 birds with 1 stone. But we need to do everything as quickly as possible. Ain thought about it and said that since the hero is so confident in his speed, he suggests that he finish in 2 weeks. Ada was stunned by the deadline. Ain added that he doesn't want to keep the hero for long, but since it's a game, he can handle it. Ida said that rebuilding a village usually takes years, and what does that have to do with destroying demons? The prince thought that this was the calculation. 2 weeks is simply an impossible time to rebuild a village. He doesn't expect him to do his job properly. In fact, they've already started doing everything themselves. The main goal is to keep the hero there for 2 weeks. He's incredibly strong. Let him spend these 2 weeks fighting off bandits and monsters, until the official recovery team arrives. But for now, the hero will be in a prominent place. He thinks that in these 2 weeks, he will figure out what his true strength is. He asked what the guy would tell him. It wasn't an order from the princess, but his personal challenge. He offered him to hold out for 2 weeks. If it didn't work out, so be it. Maybe even comfort him. Shichiku looked at him calmly. After that, I decided to clarify whether the construction of fences, 10 houses, a town hall, and the complete preparation of fields would be considered the restoration of the village. Ain replied that it was something like that. Ada thought that it usually takes months, and asked if it was possible to rebuild the village. The guy replied that it was a chain of side quests. Not necessarily for the true ending, but if you use 100%, then you need to take it. The game is not only about destroying demons. It was easier with Arachne, though. He thought about the suggestion for a while, after which he raised his serious gaze towards the prince and asked how about 30 minutes. Ain asked him in amazement. He asked angrily if he was being taken for a fool. After all, this is not a dinner to warm up. This is a recovery. This is a decade of hard work to regain your former life. Shichiku noticed that he had offered him to do it in 2 weeks. Ain really said that, but it's impossible. Looking at the prince's furious face, the guy thought that he looked just like his boss. Ida stood up and shouted at them to be quiet. It's not appropriate for a royal person, and even in her guise, to yell like it's not clear who. She ordered him to apologize. Ain lowered his gaze and apologized, and the guy thought that this was the type who couldn't cross his older sister. Ida asked Shichika to forgive Ain. If he doubts and provokes, it's only because he's worried about her. And yet, Shichiku is not one of those who are trusted at first sight. He should at least be a little aware of this. The guy agreed with her about that. The girl told the guy that it's okay not to believe him, but if the main character says he can, then that's how it will be. She also asked him to worry, because he's a weirdo, but not a villain. Although a weirdo is putting it mildly. Ain agreed with her. It was already night outside. The main characters said that they would arrive at the village tomorrow morning. If everything goes according to plan, he'll be done by lunchtime. Ain noticed that everyone still didn't believe him. Shichiku invited him to go and see for himself. It's better to see it once than to hear it 100 times. He replied that there was a council meeting about Arachne tomorrow. They have a lot of things to do here too. He shouldn't underestimate the princess. Well, he added that if he had time, he would look at them in the evening, so he suggested that he try not to fail. The main character thought about the prince, who is not in the instructions. If we consider him as our reality, such a character could exist, although he did not think that it would be a man. This is not just a non-playable character. There is a sense of humanity in him. Since he's been here, everyone seems like real people. The game already had realistic characters, but he feels like he's exploring a side of the game that hasn't been shown. Sheepishly, he decided that the fans would be thrilled. Perhaps he did not exist in the game, but simply did not appear. The schedule is based on the optimization of all game elements. If an unknown factor appears, the previous route may fall apart. From the point of view of the game, surprise is the main enemy. Ida asked about what happened. Maybe it's too late to worry. It's unusual in itself to communicate freely with her. On the other hand, isn't the game about adapting to the unexpected? Folding his arms, he asked them to go through everything tomorrow. At the same time, monsters started appearing in the surroundings in the capital near the village. The mage used the first fire spell on them, destroying them. It was a high-class group that had previously been invited by the guild. Sitting by the campfire, Erica said that it looked like the number of monsters had decreased. They did a good job protecting her, and she hopes that she will meet the princess. Expectations. Adamu said that he had just received a message from her, and a hero from another world would arrive here tomorrow. This surprised the members of his team. The girl asked in surprise if he had really defeated Arachne just 3 days after the summoning. Even with Kira, it's beyond the scope of what tactics can work like that. The man said that, apparently, this is the work of the hero. The task says that you need to help the hero rebuild the village and report on his actions. More like scouting than helping. The princess is clearly interested in him. So he decided that tomorrow they would have to apologize to the hero for underestimating him. Everyone agreed with him. Lugal abruptly got up and reported that he smelled a strong demon. He used his wolf territory skill to explore everything around him. In the distance, he noticed a small slime behind the stones. However, they did not have time to say anything, as he launched a powerful attack on the wolf, destroying it. The audience was shocked, and the slime said that it tasted like a silver wolf. He asked if they were on the verge of extinction, because he had often eaten them before. A smiling, raspy slime formed in front of them. The scale did not listen to him and struck a powerful blow, severing his arm. He asked who it was and thought that slimes are usually slow after absorption. But even he began to lose his composure in front of him. Raspy returned his hand and said that he was scared and asked me to be angry because he had eaten a dog. The man ordered him to be silent. He told the girl that everything was fine and added that they would buy her a new lipstick later. He asks to give him magic for 200 years ahead. The girl replied that all the cosmetics on the continent would not cover this damage. She understood that this was clearly the level of the 4 heavenly kings, as he had destroyed the legendary Lugal in the blink of an eye. She used thousands of years of reserves of primitive magic, saying she didn't care about them. She's really pissed off for the first time in 200 years. Adamu said it was time for super tough parenting for the young. The result will be the end of his life. The man's eye changed. A little later, Raspy was sitting by the campfire and was glad that he had eaten too much. He thought you were going to show him that it was cool, but he turned out to be just a dummy possessed by a dragon. The woman used the release of accumulated magic, but it wasn't original at all. Silver wolves are not worthy of attention at all. There were broken weapons lying around him. He shouted that they were all monotonous and predictable. This world was unrealistically boring. At this time, only foreigners are worthy of attention. He noticed a scroll with the royal seal, which said that the hero would be in the village. He was glad that they were finally meeting. He began to change, becoming a group of high-ranking ones. He decided to extract all the secrets and unexplored secrets from him. After that, he would enjoy it to the last bone. When they left the city on horseback, Kira realized that he had met Ain. She thought he was a smart guy, because he decided to see the brave man himself before reading the report. Hachiku, on the other hand, was thinking that she had returned to her old armor. He asked if they didn't get along with each other. She replied that they weren't fighting or being friends. He's a pretty controversial person, maybe it's because of his past, but he won't just open his heart. And the fact that he's trying to test it is just his style. The only one to whom he opens his soul, as far as she knows, is Ida. But it seemed to her that he liked Kira. She asked if Ida really thinks so. He always looks down, so their eyes never cross. The guy thought that the non-game characters he knows are very violently discussing a character he doesn't know, which makes him feel strangely alienated. From afar, they were called by a group of high-ranked mercenaries, who happily welcomed them into the village. They stood quietly in a group not far from them. Later, they arrived at the camp, where Adamu told them about their team and which guild they belonged to. The Dragonbone symbol was located in the southern part of the kingdom. This is the guild of the Primeval Forest of Dragonbones. He introduced the team members. After showing the scroll, he said that Lady Ada had ordered them to help the brave man rebuild the village. He suggested starting by cleansing the monsters. They are ready to complete any task and hope that they will get along. Shokuba began to recall what he knew about this group. In the original, he only knew their names and techniques, so it would be the first time he would talk to them. After meeting with Ain, he finally felt calmer in the company of familiar characters. He stood quietly and looked at the adventurers, while Raspi, in his guise, thought with delight that he had finally met him. He has a real wooden stick with him. The slug's special ability is to praise the taste of the brain. By tasting an object's brain, it can take away all available memory. He completely ate the brains of these people so they won't suspect him of anything. The main character is so mysterious, and even with a very strong ability. He would like to get at least his wooden stick, but still, he wants to get it all. However, this was the first treat he had seen in 1,000 years. You need to restrain your ardor. Kira said that you can rely on that famous silver dragon fang. After that, she decided that they also needed to introduce themselves. First, she named the main character, whom the lady had recently summoned. Ida introduced herself, saying that she was a magician from the cat tribe, a kitty with a personality and a mistress, favorite. The wolf growled, and Erika explained that Ruder was jealous of her excellent human language skills. She's really a very sweet and wise kitty. The guy realized that the three of them didn't know about the girl's true identity. The princess is also good, but no one can compare with Aida. It's so peaceful with her, just like at home. Erika's voice brought him out of his thoughts about the girl. She said they had heard that he had defeated Arachne, so she was wondering what kind of blessing he was using. He replied sheepishly that it was not a blessing, but a regime that he constantly uses. She asked with incomprehension. Kira tried to stop him, but the girl continued, clarifying whether this was the blessing given to the brave man. She travels in order to achieve perfection in magic and touch the truth of everything. If she manages, like him, to use the mode, then perhaps she will come closer to her desire. After that, she took the guy's hand. She asked him to tell him the whole story. Her actions angered Kira. Raspi thought that all men were led to this. The guy asked if she wanted him to talk about it in full. The guy also grabbed her hand and said with a reddened face that of course he would tell her everything, and about the leaderboard, and about tricks, and about bug fixes. He wanted to escape with her in this world. Kira was shocked by this. Pulling him away by the scruff of his neck, she asked him what he was thinking at all, because this was the first time he had seen her in his eyes, so he shouldn't reveal his cards so easily. He misjudges people, even if she is a beautiful woman. He asked her what she was saying. There is a man who wants to go through his regime. Real professionals should evaluate newcomers. Kira didn't understand what he was talking about. He had previously explained to Donnie that his knowledge was not something he had created alone. The number of players passing the game, I leave about 500 people. Different players share their technique and daily results of the competition with each other. It would not be an exaggeration if he called them crystals of knowledge. However, a lot of time has passed since the release of the game. Recently, the number of techniques has started to decrease. Therefore, the leaders of the game table are now being frozen. This is a period when nothing new appears. You need to try not to make mistakes and repeat existing schedules. This makes it difficult to reduce time and adversely affects the psyche. And there's fun in that, but Kira didn't understand it. What the light does in this darkness is a new opinion. The existence of a newbie who joined the game. Pros eventually start to think in a template. Therefore, the more newcomers there are, the higher the likelihood of new opportunities. For example, the one who missed the fight with Arachne first was a rookie who had only been running for 2 weeks. They recalled with admiration her words about how she was able to get through the wall and get to the last boss directly. Therefore, beginners are the golden key to a faster chart. He wants to provide all-round support so that they become their colleagues. And for this, even as a formidable-looking boss, he will tell the newcomers about all the tricks that can be learned. He recalled how he shared it with his boss. Startled, Kira replied that she was wrong. Raspi thought that once she understood what a chart was, she could easily master it. If he eats his brain, he will get an easy victory. But before that, you need to take a look at the game yourself. At that moment, Ada hit the main character on the head, telling him to deal with these invitations in his own world. The confused guy understood her and thought that when it comes to the game, he starts to forget. It won't happen again. He told Kira that this time, the category would have almost nothing to do with reaching the right ending. Even if someone finds out about it, they won't get a bad effect. He added that we can't delay any longer, so we need to start rebuilding the village as soon as possible. Ida said that there was one thing that needed to be done before they started. They all went together to the stone on which the name of the village was written, and laid flowers there, clasping their hands in prayer. They wanted innocent souls to find eternal solace in the arms of a merciful goddess. They also wished them happiness. Adamu told the girl that she really had a good human language. She replied that her mistress had taught her this with the help of Requiem, which was why it was so natural. The main character decided to start rebuilding the village, using an item from his arsenal purchased in the capital. Taking out a frying pan, he said that he would need it to rebuild the village. Everyone present looked at him in disbelief.